22-year-old Ward Sakeik is the type of person you would want to have as your neighbor. She has an annual blood donation record at her local community blood center, a successful wedding photography business, and an entire local community in Texas that vouches for her. Despite all of this, just a few short weeks ago, Ward was released after 140 days of detention by U.S. Customs and Immigration agents, with day one starting as Ward was celebrating her honeymoon. Her only crime being a stateless Palestinian in Donald Trump's America. Now adjusting to life, knowing that so many in the Trump administration want her and people like her out of the country, Ward joins me remotely along with her attorney, Houston-based human rights attorney, Kari. Thank you both for joining me on the show. Ward, let me start with you. I mean, I'm glad you're out of detention, glad that you're safe and here with us. But for those unfamiliar with the details of your case, you've been in this country since you were 8 years old, I believe. You're a stateless Palestinian. You were returning to the US from a honeymoon abroad. What happened to you on February the 11th this year, and what kind of conditions were you held under?
They detained me pretty much at the airport. It was me and my husband. They asked my husband if he was a citizen. He said yes. They asked me. I said no. They told me to step to the side, and I said no problem. After that, he did tell me, he's like, if you can show me any type of proof that you have been reporting with ICE, I will let you go. I said no problem. I have it. Not a single problem. I've been reporting for 14 years. No issues. I showed him my next reporting date paper, which is the proof I have, and he still detained me in the airport. I spent a night at the airport, and it's so funny because my husband was on the other side of the wall and he was just sitting there waiting for me.
Oh, wow.
They didn't tell me where I was going. No, mind you, like, it was in the airport, but they weren't telling you what's going on with you. I was like, oh, what's happening? Like, why am I here? What are you guys doing? What are you typing? Ignored. Everything was, they didn't even tell me. They're like, you don't belong in the country. And I was like, okay, but why? What's going on? Did I do something wrong? They wouldn't tell me anything, and they wouldn't even tell my husband what's going on until he would continue to go back and forth with them. And the next day they told him that I was going to Miami to be released. Nothing about being detained in Miami. Just, oh, you're going to go to Miami and she's going to be released from Miami. So the entire time I thought I was getting on a plane and Miami airport, I was going to be released. I was just put in a detention center immediately.
What was that like for you?
Terrible. I didn't even know what it was. Imagine, I mean, I was in this place and there were women from different parts of the world with me, and I was so confused. Like, even when I was at the detention center, I was like, what is this? I was at the detention center and they weren't telling me that I was at a detention center.
Wow.
I was like, guys, so what is this? And I would ask the women. None of them spoke English. So they were asking me and I was asking them, and I'm like, okay, the communication is not even there. The room was freezing cold, the intake room we were in. And every time we would tell them to lower, turn up the heat or to acknowledge us, give us water, they would close the door and lock it and shut up. Like, we don't want to hear you. Gosh, we already have so much on our plate. It was insane. Like, I was put in a uniform. I literally looked like a criminal. I'm like, what did I do wrong? I'm like, okay. And I would ask questions and they would treat me like a big dummy. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're doing. And mind you, a lot of the women that were in the intake room with me only spoke Spanish. And this happened multiple times at different transfers, by the way. I was transferred to 3 facilities, and at all the intakes, the staff would literally talk crap about the women that are inside at the intake room, talking about how they keep talking too much. They won't shut up, and just, it was terrible. Like,
you mentioned that you were moved to 3 facilities, and I believe they tried to deport you twice, the Trump administration, once on June the 11th, once on June the 30th, with one attempt being called off as you were on the tarmac. Where were they deporting you to, and how did you avoid getting deported? Do you know?
Yeah, so the first time I was getting deported, I didn't even know I was getting deported. I had no clue what was going on. I just thought it was a transfer from El Valle to Prairie Land. And it's so funny because I was the only one in the intake room. Mind you, the facility has over 1,000 people. And I was the only one in the intake room. I'm like, crazy how they would spend all this money just to like transfer one person. Because nobody told me nobody told me I was getting deported the day before. And they would usually give the girls a heads up, like, hey, you're getting deported.
Where were they deporting you to? Do you know?
Excuse me, repeat that.
Where were they deporting you to? Do you know?
I found out on the day that I was getting deported that I was going to be at the Israeli border. And from the Israeli border, Israel was supposed to let me into Palestine and, Daffa and Ramallah or whatever I'm supposed to go. And I did tell them multiple times, hey guys, I don't know how to operate. I don't even know what to do in there. I did ask multiple times on the bus, under which document will I be traveling to Israel under? They don't know. They're like, it's whatever document your ICE officer put in. And I was like, can I see it? And till this day, by the way, I still don't know under which document I was supposed to be deported under. And yeah, that was the first time it happened, the deportation. And they told me the deportation didn't go through because Israel bombed Iran and we were going to be deported.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So Israel bombing Iran had some unintended positive consequences for you. Let's bring in your lawyer, Maria. What did they mention a moment ago? They put me in a suit as if I was some kind of criminal. A lot of Trump supporters who may come across this clip on social media, I'm not sure they're regular viewers of Mehdi Unfiltered, but if they see this interview, they may say, well, she is a criminal. She's an illegal immigrant. What do you say to them? Liking this video? Then don't just watch, hit like, share, and subscribe. And tap the bell so you never miss a video or live show. But if you want early access to exclusive content, then you have to head to Zeteo.com and subscribe now. You'll be supporting fearless, independent journalism.
I think Americans need to wake up to the lie that ICE is taking criminals off the street, because they're not. So as of June, 70% of the people that ICE has arrested had no criminal history. Just like Worth, no criminal history. The only thing ICE is doing right now is meeting its daily quota of arresting 3,000 people, which is what the White House has set for it. And to meet that inhumane quota, they're out there terrorizing people of color and immigrant communities, which has also included US citizens and green card holders and those who are protected by DACA. Now, on the point of Worth's legal status, Worth came here at the age of 8. Her family filed for asylum. They were unsuccessful in their asylum application. But because Worth and her family are considered stateless, meaning there's no country in the world that recognizes them as their citizen, there was nowhere for the government to send them to. So while there's an order of removal for Worth, she was put under an order of supervision, which required her to be in compliance with the immigration laws by going to the ICE office in Dallas every year. And she did that. Her and her family did that. So much so that the ICE officers in Dallas saw Worth and her siblings grow up. And they would congratulate them on graduating high school, graduating college. When Worth's sister got married, they congratulated on her marriage. This has been something that Worth has lived with, a reality like many other Americans she's lived with and has complied with. So it's completely unlawful to have then detained her when she was coming back from the U.S. Virgin Islands.
The Department of Homeland Security say the facts are she is in our country illegally. She overstayed her visa and has had a final order by an immigration judge for over a decade. Mari, what's your response to that?
A final order of removal is not a deportation order. A person with a final order of removal still has avenues that have to be exercised in a court of law with due process, and there's constitutional rights that have to be followed through. And none of that happened here. What they tried to do was do a shortcut of just dropping her off into a country that's currently genociding people who are Palestinian like Worth. And I also want to remind people watching this that not only was she here in compliance with immigration laws, she's also married to a US citizen. He's filed an I-130, a green card application for her, and that's currently pending right now. So she's eligible for relief through that. And one thing that we flagged for ICE several times while Worth was in immigration detention was that she's protected by DED. That's deferred enforced departure. The Biden administration sort of threw that as a bone to the Palestinian people, saying, well, while you watch our government genocide the people in Gaza, we will protect you, Palestinians who've been in the United States since before February 14th, 2024, from being deported back to Palestine. So DED is still in force. It's in force till August 13th of this year. And Worth is protected under that. So the government was breaking multiple laws in their illegal, unlawful attempt to deport her to Israel. And I think Ward is the only person whose life was saved as a result of an Israeli airstrike, only Palestinian who's survived an Israeli airstrike.
Mario, let me ask you this. Looking at the factors that led to Ward's release, how much of it can be credited to the law and its application, and how much of it can be credited to advocacy that took place for her release? I.e., was she released because the law did its thing and due process did its thing, or was she released because she happened to be a lucky person who got people advocating for her outside of the detention center?
Look, since October 2023, I worked with countless Palestinian families who are living in the US right now. And it's clear to me that what the administration wants to do is weaponize, whether it be free speech laws or immigration laws, to treat these people as subhuman and second-class citizens. So no part of what happened to Worth, which is frankly a miracle to survive 2 deportation attempts and be sitting here talking to us in the United States today, no part of that is a result of the law working. In fact, when they first tried to drop her off, quote unquote, to the border of Israel, we went to court and we got a court order in place. A federal judge issued a stay of removal telling the government that it could not move her anywhere outside of the country, let alone Texas. Even after that, even knowing DED is in place, even knowing her husband sponsored her for green card, they still attempted to move her again in the middle of the night, which is very important, right? Why do you put somebody on a Boeing in the middle of the night? That's because their family's likely not awake, their lawyers likely not around, and the courts are not there to give you emergency relief. So all that is happening by design. That confusion that Ward described, where she doesn't know where she's going, her bags are packed, she can see a bag that says Israel, she sat on the tarmac, it's all by design, right? The only reason that didn't work is because our legal team intervened in time. We called, we reminded them of the court order in place. And in response, the ICE officer said to us, your client's been ranting about a court order all night. So they knew what they were doing is illegal, and they were doing it anyways, because that's how emboldened they are under this administration. So it was absolutely a result of us drawing attention to the facts of Ward's case that sort of sprung her out of prison, out of an internment camp, essentially, the very next day. They attempted to deport her the second time, and then the next day we get a message saying, come get your girl, come pick her up, and her husband goes and gets her. Again, no reason given for what happened, that second unlawful attempt to remove in violation of a court order.
Mario mentioned you being Palestinian. One of your other representatives, Chris Godshall-Bennett, said in a statement after your release, let's be clear, Warth was arrested and almost deported simply because she is Palestinian and ICE thought they could get away with it. How much do you think your ethnicity or nationality played a role in this?
Oh, it played a huge role. I mean, they were going around the detention center calling us illegal. Like, do you know how much it takes to call someone illegal? Like, I'm illegal, like a human being is illegal. That would make me so upset every time they would call us illegal. And they would do it. I was like, hey guys, where am I going? Like, Palestine's not gonna take me, well, where am I going? And they're like, well, you can't be here, you're illegal. I'm like, so where am I going? And they're like, I can send you to China, I can send you to Somalia, I can send you to Congo, I can send you wherever I want to send you. They would tell me that straight to my face. I'm like, I don't know how to survive in any of these countries. And they're like, well, you're going to have to learn. And I'm like, okay, so what about me reporting for the past 14 years? Does that even play a role? No. I mean, it was just being Palestinian. They would tell me that they can send me anywhere. And mind you, I don't even think this is only happening to me. It's happening to multiple of the women inside. They'll just wake up one day and pack your bags, you're leaving. Hey, where are you going to? I don't know. I didn't sign up for deportation. I don't know. Nobody knows.
I want to ask you about those women inside in just a moment, but I got to ask this question, forgive me. You went on honeymoon with your husband in February of this year. You left the United States to go on honeymoon. Did you not worry that this might happen to you on the way back, given Donald Trump was president on January the 20th?
So let me chime in here. So Ward never left the United States. Ward traveled to the U.S. Virgin Islands, U.S. territory. And the couple researched, this young couple who just bought a house, just got married, and hours later caught a flight to the U.S. Virgin Islands, did a lot of research to make sure that they were in compliance with immigration laws and didn't inadvertently leave the United States. And one of the ways that DHS tried to justify their illegal detention of Ward is by arguing with us that because she flew over international waters to get to the Virgin Islands, left the U.S.
Wow.
That not true. Flying to Hawaii or going to Alaska by flying over Canada doesn't mean a departure under immigration law. So what the government did there was invent a legal to justify persecuting a stateless Palestinian woman. And Ward's case is a reminder that the struggle of Palestinians in America is not limited to what's happening in Gaza or West Bank.
That's insane. So if you now fly to another part of America, it's leaving the country. If you're that's amazing. My last question to you, Ward. The other women inside, I believe you've previously said that you plan to start a letter writing campaign to support the women who are still detained by ICE. What were some of I know you had a language barrier, but what were they experiencing? What did you hear from them? What was going on with them? I mean, you have the advantage of having lived here 14 years, having been able to speak English to those guards. What was going on with these poor women who couldn't even speak the language?
They all have dreams. They're normal people. They're not illegal people. They're not less than anybody. And some of these women, they had 4 or 5 kids. Mind you, their kids are citizens. They're here, and the mom is getting deported to Honduras or Guatemala. And I'm like, what about your kids? What are you going to do with your kids? I don't know. They told me I'm illegal. I'm not supposed to be here. It's barriers. Some of these women owned restaurants. They have jobs. They're normal people. Some of them worked in electricity. Some of them are going to college. Not every story matches the other. And mind you, they're saying they're detaining criminals. In the room that I was in, probably 95% of the room was blue suitors. If you're a blue suitor, you have no crime, nothing. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just a normal person that just got detained for being illegal. And I would stress multiple times to the ICE officers about, and you know what's funny? Like, I would tell them, I'm like, hey, he's like, how did you get detained? I'm like, at the US Virgin Islands. And they're like, oh, so you didn't leave. They would tell me, they're like, oh, so you didn't leave. And I'm like, I didn't leave. And they're like, so what? That's so strange. Why are you here? An ICE officer would tell me that. I'm like, I should be asking you that question. And the same thing with the other women. I mean, I saw how much advantage they took, that these women wouldn't necessarily speak the language. And imagine like coming into a room, 90% of these women speak Spanish, and you decide to give an announcement in English. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Who's going to understand?
Sorry, last word to you, Maria.
These detention facilities have capacity for 40,000 beds. They're currently housing over 59,000 people. People are sleeping on floors. They're eating on floors. They're packed in like sardines. People are literally dying in these facilities. Ward shared with me that the most amount of racism she's ever experienced in her life was inside these facilities. Her husband dropped off a prayer mat for her, but even then she was given a dirty, ripped blanket to pray on. She wasn't allowed to open her fast on time. Many times that happened to her. When she was moved between the facilities, she was chained, shackled in a stressed position for up to 16 hours, no food, no water. They're given a bottle to use as a toilet. These facilities I worked in, and I've visited many of them over the country. And I think as Americans, we either don't realize we're driving past one, or we've just accepted them as part of our social structure. They're littered all over the country, and they're housing these innocent people who are living the most deplorable conditions. And they've always been deplorable no matter who's in the White House, but under Trump, who's allocated billions to expanding immigration detention, they've become even more deplorable and even more deadly.
Deadly indeed. Ward, Maria, good luck with the case. Thank you so much for taking time out for us.
Thank you.
Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications. For exclusive content and to support our independent, unfiltered journalism, head over to zeteo.com. Your support matters.